Interesting to note some things in passing. This previous recording on circularity, I hadn't thought of the importance of round turrets on castles compared to square edges, sharp corners that can be knocked off by cannon fire. I hadn't thought of that since school days. When I used to build castles, I used to make cardboard castles and models, And I used to draw such as well, I think, to some extent. No artist, if you know what I mean. And I think I remembered it because I was thinking in terms of theology and philosophy and circular arguments and so on, and the circle, and of course circle's a mathematical shape, and that might have had links to learning maths at school, but nothing consciously. And suddenly comes into my mind the importance of round turrets on castles instead of square ones. For the corners of the castle walls and so on, you'd put a turret, and originally it was just squared off, and then they would put a square turret there to make the ends. It was more defendable, but that presented at least two corners to the outside world, which could be knocked off easily by cannon fire. And only now it occurs to me, just now, while doing this recording, that only became a problem when your invader had cannon technology. I don't think we had cannon technology back in That's right up to medieval times we didn't have, did we? So I wonder when, I don't think it could have been Norman times, when we started to think of round turrets. But do you see, what I wanted to draw attention to is the way the mind works. You can have memories that you don't have access to, but you can find access because one thing leads to another. I'm thinking of circularity of arguments. I'm literally visualizing circles, although I'm thinking of it in terms of philosophy and so on, arguments. And then it occurs to me something else. Ah, yes, castles when I was a kiddie. And now it occurs to me even further, but cannons didn't come in until, I've got a feeling, the only way you can have a cannon is something like at least gunpowder, isn't it? And I think that came from the Chinese, so they may have had it in long before we had it, but once it was a technology adopted for warfare, then it would have spread across the rest of Asia and Europe rather fast. And certainly by the time we get to Tudor England, we have, I think it's then, isn't it? Cannons beginning to be innovated into warfare. Now, of course, I take it that all thoughts are from God. We simply access the thoughts according to our values. And we access those thoughts related to it when we meditate on something So we meditate, which is to think of a particular thing, might be the love of God. And then that seems to open to us other ideas, and we get intuitions and thoughts and, ooh, wonder if so-and-so. And they can be original from our point of view in that we've not thought them before. And we've not been told them by, not being told them by someone else, but receiving the thought because we are thinking of something that's related to such in God's mind. I think that's the way I want to present it. So I'm thinking of circles, and God reminds me of, you've got access also, in circles to castles and so on. Oh. Yes, I used to think that, didn't I? When I was a kiddie at school. Now, in this case, you could say, no, it's just one idea nudging another that's laying in your mind, and it comes to life because you've triggered it by thinking of something that's near it in the mind, in some sense, connected, neuron-wise. I think there may be some local mind in that sense. I could modify my theory, so to speak, my view. But I have this notion that thought is something that's not space and time bound. It's like a principle. It's access anywhere, anyone. It's present everywhere if you tap into it or if you choose not to. So I think of the fabric of space, the space out there in the galaxies and the universe, between galaxies and so on, and between atoms. I think, and the space in atoms, I think of space as being this eternal substance, if you like. I hesitate to use that word, but something. Almost want to say something obscure, like the matrix of God's being everywhere. It is his, from our point of view, his very mind. And since he's the one thinking of the whole universe, I can travel anywhere in the universe and to any universe and anything else that God's holding instantly, because his mind is here in the space in me or the space around me and anywhere else that I am. In other words, I have instant contact with anything and all that God is thinking anywhere, not only in any point of space, but any dimension, be it time or anything else. That he is the completeness of all. And my individuality then is a particular slant or view, a diminutive mix, something, if you could say, less than the all, but a specific mix of some of the all that makes a pattern that wouldn't exist by itself, but for my individuality. I am that individual mix. I mean, all of us, each of us, individual, we're unique. Probably all of us less than the view of God. I'm not sure how much to refine this theory, this view, but something of that. So meditation becomes simply, I was thinking the other day, wasn't I, this person who said, one of these gurus, was it? I don't know, but anyway, you just lay down and you clear your mind to just the presence of God and wait for his leading. And I think I may have caught something of that this morning when I suddenly picked up, I've just thought of what I wanted to dictate yesterday when I didn't have my phone. And it just came to me, the thing about miracles being either ascribed to God or ascribed to something less than God, like a guru or oneself. And that remembrance or that thought just came to my mind while I was doing the Kriya. And I think the Kriya had cleared for me a certain a certain receptiveness to what I had been seeking earlier. What was it? I can't remember. I should have been doing a recording when I got the phone, and I haven't done it, and I can't think what the topic was. And then it goes, well, I wasn't particularly asking God when it came to me. I was just doing the Kriya. And my mind was, and suddenly the thought comes in, I know what that thought was yesterday. So, I know people define meditation in many, everybody's got their angle on what meditation is and so on, but I think my angle on it is I want to reserve it for that accessing of the presence of God, where you just, I almost want to say clear the mind, but I don't mean not think of anything. I'm thinking of God. I'm not quite sure how I'm thinking of God. Presence, I want to say. I suppose almost him and me. We're just alone together. It's not. It's possibly what's meant to be by prayer, except prayer tends to be a long conversation for the good of those that can hear what I'm saying. Not the ideal from Jesus' point of view, was it? He says, go into your private room and shut the door and just you and God together. I think that's what I want to reserve the term meditation for, and perhaps that's the term prayer, but I don't want to crowd it out with lots of words. I'm in a time of just, ideally, loving his company. That's what seclusion ideally should be, isn't it? To spend a few days just in the awareness of his presence. With yourself. Bless you. Thank you, Dad. So look, the thought seizes me now, just something like 10 or 12 minutes through this recording, listening. That's how you want to live, isn't it? I mean, this is not an original thought. I mean, people have said this before, but ever aware of the presence of God, rather than the problem, or even, even what you're doing, you're just a bit detached. I am doing the cooking, but it's in the awareness of God. Now, when I'm recording, you see, it's much easier. Of course, it's in the awareness of God when I'm recording, because I'm actually talking about God and trying to be a blessing in terms of God to you, the potential listener. And the thoughts come like this one, that's that, isn't it? Of course, it's awareness of the presence of God, which is particularly real to me when I'm lecturing, teaching, talking, thinking even, but certainly when I'm recording. And the great thing about recording is, I can access these thoughts again simply by listening to the recording, as opposed to just clearing my mind and not even anticipating what God's going to put there. Do you see? I want us to, that was the thing I wanted to say to you now. Don't we want to live? We do. We want to live, don't we, in that expectation of something wonderful. Any minute, any moment. Because of the surprise of the incredible love and creativeness and care that our Heavenly Dad is in every detail of our living. That He turns night into day with the light of His love and kindness to us. That we are just astonished at how each day unfolds in its uniqueness of His creativity and love for us and all those around us. What a simply lovely Dad. And it's in that thought of His loveliness that the stream of life is downloaded continuously into us, on us, around us, through us. His love, which has become His glory, our joy and our life eternal in His family. Thank you, Dad.